The old man stood quietly across the street, leaning on a worn wooden cane. His clothes were simple, almost too simple for someone in a busy corporate district. People rushed past him, eyes glued to their phones, briefcases swinging, coffee cups in hand. Not one of them stopped. Not one of them noticed the pain in his eyes. But what they didn't know was that this old man owned everything around them. Before we begin, take a moment to support stories like this. If you believe kindness still matters in today's world, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Kindness Story Hub, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps keep these stories alive. It was a cold Monday morning in downtown Chicago. The headquarters of one of the most successful companies in the country stood tall, its glass walls reflecting the early sunlight. Inside, hundreds of employees rushed through their routines, unaware that this day would be unlike any other. The company belonged to Jonathan Reed, a self-made billionaire known for his sharp business sense and quiet personality. He rarely appeared in public, and most of his employees had never seen him in person. But Jonathan had been thinking deeply lately. His company was growing fast, profits were rising, and everything looked perfect on paper. Yet something felt missing. He had built his empire from nothing, and he knew the value of hard work. But he also knew something else, the power of kindness. And he wondered, in a world driven by deadlines and targets, how many of his employees still carried that value in their hearts. So, he decided to find out. That morning, instead of entering his luxurious office, Jonathan disguised himself as an elderly man. He wore old clothes, slightly torn at the edges, and walked with a limp. He positioned himself near the entrance of his own building, pretending to struggle. Employees began arriving. The first was a young man in a tailored suit, talking loudly on his phone about an important meeting. He nearly bumped into Jonathan but didn't even pause. "Watch it, old man," he muttered, walking past without a second glance. Then came a group of co-workers laughing together. Jonathan reached out slightly, as if asking for help. One of them noticed but quickly looked away. "We're already late," she whispered, pulling her friend along. Minutes turned into hours. Some employees looked at him with pity but kept walking. Others avoided eye contact entirely. A few even frowned, as if his presence was an inconvenience. Jonathan felt a quiet sadness growing inside him. Was this what his company had become? A place full of talented people, but empty of compassion. Then, just as he was about to give up, something changed. A young woman approached the building, her steps slower than the others. She carried a simple bag and wore a modest outfit, nothing like the expensive suits around her. Her name was Emily Carter, a junior assistant who had joined the company just 6 months ago. She noticed Jonathan immediately. Without hesitation, she walked toward him. "Sir, are you okay?" she asked gently, her voice filled with concern. Jonathan looked up, surprised by her sincerity. I think I twisted my ankle," he replied, staying in character. Emily didn't think twice. She set her bag down and offered her arm. "Let me help you sit," she said. She guided him carefully to a nearby bench. "Do you need water? Or should I call someone?" she asked. Jonathan shook his head slightly. "I don't want to be a bother," he said softly. Emily smiled. "You're not a bother. Everyone needs help sometimes." She opened her bag, pulled out a small bottle of water, and handed it to him. Then she took off her scarf and gently wrapped it around his ankle to give him some support. "I might be late for work," she said with a small laugh, "but that's okay. This matters more." Jonathan felt something he hadn't felt in a long time, genuine warmth. As employees continued to walk past, some now staring at Emily with confusion, she stayed by his side. She didn't rush. She didn't complain. She simply cared. After a few minutes, Jonathan asked, "Why are you helping me? You don't even know me." Emily looked at him, her expression calm and sincere. "Because you need help," she said. "That's enough reason." Those simple words struck him deeply. Eventually, Emily helped him stand and even offered to walk him to a nearby clinic. Jonathan gently declined, saying he felt better now. "Thank you," he said, looking directly into her eyes. "You have a kind heart. Don't ever lose that." Emily smiled softly. "I won't," she replied, before picking up her bag and hurrying into the building. Jonathan watched her go, his heart full. The next day, something unusual happened. All employees received an urgent email asking them to gather in the main conference hall. Whispers filled the office as people speculated about the reason. When they entered the hall, they were surprised to see a large stage set up. Moments later, a well-dressed man walked onto the stage. It was Jonathan Reed. Gasps spread across the room. Many employees were seeing him for the first time. Jonathan looked around, his expression serious but calm. "Good morning," he began. "Yesterday, I stood outside this building disguised as an old man in need." The room fell silent. "I wanted to see something," he continued. "Not your skills. Not your performance. But your kindness." He paused, letting his words sink in. "Many of you walked past me," he said quietly. "Some of you noticed me, but chose not to act." Heads began to lower. "But one person stopped," he said, his voice softening. "One person showed genuine care without expecting anything in return." He turned toward the front row. "Emily Carter, would you please come up here?" Emily froze. Her co-workers looked at her in shock as she slowly stood and walked toward the stage. Jonathan smiled warmly at her. "You didn't know who I was," he said. "You didn't know anyone was watching. But you chose kindness anyway." Emily felt her eyes fill with tears. "In a company like this," Jonathan continued, addressing everyone, "skills can be taught. Experience can be gained. But kindness, that comes from the heart." He turned back to Emily. "I want to thank you," he said. "Not just for helping me, but for reminding me why I built this company in the first place." The room was completely silent now. "And as a token of my appreciation," he added, "I am promoting you to a leadership position, effective immediately." A wave of murmurs spread through the crowd. "But more importantly," he said, raising his voice slightly, "I want every single person here to learn from her." He looked around the room once more. "Success is not just about profits and numbers," he said. "It's about how we treat people. It's about who we choose to be when no one is watching." Emily stood there, overwhelmed, but proud. From that day on, things began to change. Employees started noticing each other more. Small acts of kindness became more common. People held doors open, checked on one another, and took a moment to care. The company didn't just grow in business, it grew in heart. And Emily? She never forgot that day. She carried the same kindness into her new role, inspiring others not through authority, but through compassion. Because in the end, it wasn't the richest person in the building who made the biggest impact that day. It was the kindest one. So here's something to think about. Every day, we pass by people who might need help. A smile, a kind word, a small act, it may seem insignificant to you, but it could mean everything to someone else. Kindness doesn't require wealth. It doesn't need recognition. It simply requires a choice. And sometimes, that choice can change everything. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs a reminder that kindness still exists. And remember, be the reason someone believes in good people again.